Good evening. Israelis and Palestinians have now woken to their fifth day of war. As we go to air, 950 people have been killed in Gaza and a further 1,200 have been killed in Israel. In a village close to the border, the military undertakes a horrifying mission, collecting the bodies of those killed in a massacre. 9 News was one of the first media teams in the world to enter Kfar Aza, escorted by Israel's Defence Force. And a warning, this story is confronting.
The road to Kfar Aza warns of the horrors within. Cars crushed or riddled with bullets, records of the final moments of the residents who tried to escape. Inside the kibbutz, devastation.
It's not a war, it's not a battlefield. It's a massacre.
Hamas militants seemingly targeted the most vulnerable here, slaughtering them as they slept.
To see baby carriages with bullet holes in them and blood. Who goes up to a baby and kills a baby? Who kills a mother? I see the bodies in their homes.
There are reports as many as 40 babies were killed, many beheaded. Israeli troops now go from house to house. Behind each door, a fresh atrocity. This is a small farming village home to just 750 people. It was one of the first to be attacked by Hamas gunmen after they smashed through the border.
Allahu Akbar!
For 3 days, the Israeli forces fought to retake Kfar Aza, Hamas releasing this footage of the battle. The IDF is still securing the settlement when they escort us in.
You're the first reporters going in to see what happened here.
And the first to hear of the horrors that unfolded. For even the most experienced of military men, this is harrowing. Major Spielman tells us of a young couple who lived here with their 10-month-old twins.
They heard the shooting and they very quickly realized what was happening and they hid their babies in a cupboard.
The infants were saved, but they'll grow up as orphans.
They'll hear.
Please follow me. All the press, please follow me. We're going downstairs.
Retrieving the dead is a slow process.
Hand grenades or whatnot, please be careful where you're walking. Watch, don't pick up things.
Rocket fire forces us into shelter, and there's the constant threat of hidden explosives.
There's a destroyed vehicle here with a message scrolled on one of the panels there, which translates as don't touch, this might be booby-trapped.
It's unknown how many residents survived the massacre, but at least 4 are believed to have been taken into Gaza as hostages.
We are right near the border. In fact, just through that gap, you're looking straight through into Gaza. You can see the smoke rising, and there's a constant barrage of airstrikes and explosions. And we're told this gate in the foreground, that's where some of the first Hamas gunmen broke through into this town.
Just 8 kilometres south, the village of Berry, where the first Australian was killed in the conflict. Galit Carboni was born in Sydney and was 66 years old when her kibbutz was ambushed. The grandmother, one of 100 people who died.
I can only imagine what that family's going through, and I can only imagine what the pain that they're feeling at this loss.
Israel says it has complete control of the border. Still, its aerial assaults on the enclave are unrelenting.
This is white phosphor. This is white phosphor. You can see it? It's white phosphor bomb.
White phosphorus can be absorbed into the body when inhaled or touched. Its deployment as a weapon in dense civilian areas is considered a war crime. After each strike, residents try to aid the injured. When the barrage comes, there's little that can protect them.
Prepared for this.
Let us know if you need to go into some sort of a bomb shelter or whatever, because I can hear those explosions going off right near you.
There are no bomb shelters here.
Buildings blown apart, its port ablaze. One assault destroyed part of a refugee camp. This man rescued from the rubble. Aid groups are pleading for a humanitarian corridor.
We hope that soon we will be in a position to bring in new supply out from outside Gaza.
Hamas still fires into Israel, warning residents of the southern city of Ashkelon to get out before launching a barrage of rockets.
It's okay.
Most were destroyed by the Iron Dome, but not all. This violence is not contained to Israel or Gaza. For a third straight day, shelling has sounded on the border with Lebanon. And for the first time in this conflict, Israel has fired into Syria, labelling it a retaliatory attack. The entire region on a knife's edge. In Kfar Aza, Israel, Edward Godfrey, 9 News.
OK, 9's correspondent Edward Godfrey is tonight in Ashkelon in Israel's south. Edward, the city has been repeatedly targeted by Hamas.
It has, Peter. This city has been traumatised since the very first attack, coming under attack repeatedly, even late yesterday and last night. The sirens continually going off and people having to run for cover. You can see here, this is one property where a rocket or part of a rocket has hit. That's where it impacted, just narrowly missing this home. And you can see the huge amount of damage that it has caused. The owners and some helpers in there are just clearing it out. Fortunately, we're told nobody was hurt here. They managed to get down underneath the house into their bunker when they heard the sirens sounding, and they were okay. It's not just rocket attacks, though. The Israeli Defence Force tells us last night 3 Hamas militants tried to infiltrate this city. They were killed in an exchange of gunfire. But Peter, that is just one of the many ongoing dangers for residents in places like this.
All right, Edward, thank you so much. Let's go to Sydney's east now, where a special vigil for the Jewish community is underway at Dover Heights. 9's Damien Ryan is there. Damien, many people wanting to pay their respects.
That's right, Pete. I've just been informed close to 10,000 people have registered for this event. And I look around, there could be 10,000 people right here now, and it hasn't yet begun. And I'm not surprised, because for 4 days, these people have had to wait to mourn publicly the tragedy which has occurred half a world away. Because, of course, on Monday, they were warned to stay away from the city when the Opera House was lit up blue and white. Well, this evening, those colours are certainly flying high, as you can see. There's not a protester in sight, Pete. This will surely be a very solemn moment, attended by the New South Wales Premier and the federal opposition leader, Peter Dutton.
As news of the vigil quickly spread, it became a pilgrimage. People pouring into a Dover Heights park this evening, a spectacular backdrop for a ceremony of sadness. The Jewish community is used to security, but tonight it was next level. Police and guards everywhere as politicians, community and religious leaders joined with the public in a show of solidarity for the people of Israel.
We've had close people who are fighting and are affected by the war.
And we're here to show solidarity and be with our brothers and sisters over there.
We all mourn together for all those lives lost.
The fallout from the conflict has seen Jewish institutions across the city turned into fortresses, with police confirming the force is on high alert.
We don't have any information of direct threats at this stage.
But just an hour later, this emerged on social media. 4 schoolboys with an Israeli flag in Bellevue Hill, abused by a man dressed in high-vis. He then threatens them. Police later arrested a 23-year-old man in Liverpool as another showdown looms with pro-Palestinian demonstrators. The Premier is still paying the price for the decision by police to allow Monday's rally to go ahead.
I really want to make it clear to the Jewish community that I want to apologise to them, specifically on behalf of the government and myself as the Premier of New South Wales.
But today in Parliament, there was no apology for the only person arrested on the night for carrying an Israeli flag.
Mark Spiro is here today. He wants an apology. Will you give Mark Spiro an apology?
Police removed that gentleman from what was a very conflictual protest that was happening for his own safety.
I thought that was a bit of a cop-out, to be honest. It was very general.
Police have already canned another protest planned for this Sunday.
So it won't be happening?
In our opinion, it won't be happening. It's unauthorised at this stage.
I'll be there on Sunday. The protest is going ahead. What I can guarantee is that we will be doing everything to ensure that it is a peaceful protest.
Police concede they can't stop the gathering, but they'll be watching and listening. Damien Ryan, 9 News.
As fighting rages in the Middle East, the condemnation is only growing. US President Joe Biden slamming Hamas as sheer evil, pledging more support for Israel, with Americans among those being held hostage.
These are the faces of some of the missing. Grandparents, mothers, fathers, young men, women and children all have family in pain.
The optimistic scenario here is that she's held hostage in Gaza and not dead on the street of the kibbutz where we grew up.
Dead or held hostage, both devastating outcomes for these civilians. Relatives now living in fear for their loved ones. Some have seen them taken by terrorists.
It's really, really difficult to make people understand the horror.
That horror laid bare by America's Commander-in-Chief.
Parents butchered using their bodies to try to protect their children. Stomach-turning reports of babies being killed. Entire families slain.
The president's anger visible.
This was an act of sheer evil. The brutality of Hamas, his bloodthirstiness brings to mind the worst rampages of ISIS.
And he vowed to back his ally.
We must be crystal clear. We stand with Israel.
As President Biden tries to control a situation beyond his border, fears of an all-out Middle East war are growing.
To any country, any organization, anyone thinking of taking advantage of this situation, I have one word: don't. Don't.
A message to Hezbollah in Lebanon, to Syria. The US wants Iran to hear it too.
There's a certain degree of complicity here. They've been supporting Hamas for many years.
From Tehran, Ayatollah Khomeini denying involvement but applauding the attack. We kiss the foreheads of the planners, he said. Joe Biden has rallied his national security team to send Israel more help, hostage negotiators, more ammunition and interceptors for its Iron Dome. An American carrier strike group has already arrived in the region.
And we stand ready to move in additional assets as needed.
The US president spoke with Israel's Prime Minister again today, Benjamin Netanyahu, telling him a prolonged attack on Hamas will be necessary.
We were struck Saturday by an attack whose savagery I can say we have not seen since the Holocaust. They're even worse than ISIS, and we need to treat them as such.
Joe Biden has been watching it all unfold from here at the White House. The US is very much being kept informed about how Israel might respond inside Gaza. And today, President Biden had a reminder of Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu.
Terrorists purposely target civilians, kill them. We uphold the laws of war.
America has made its view clear, standing in readiness while the Middle East stands on the brink of even more bloodshed. At the White House, Jonathan Kersley, 9 News.
The Prime Minister has confirmed tonight that 2 repatriation flights have been planned to evacuate Australians stranded in Israel from Friday. Qantas will operate the flights, with Australians in the region urged to register with the government's 24-hour consular emergency centre. Following the announcement, the Prime Minister met with Jewish community leaders at a synagogue in Melbourne a short time ago.
Meanwhile, threats made against Melbourne's Jewish community are tonight the subject of a police investigation. Penelope Leash tells us a rabbi and his young son are the latest to come forward, claiming they were targeted.
Rabbi Daniel Rabin was with his 8-year-old heading to synagogue in Caulfield. He says they were confronted by a car of people.
There was about 4 people inside the vehicle, and they shouted out really horrible, vile comments, the F word, pigs, Jews, die, and then they drove off. And my 8-year-old son looked at me with complete shock.
Detectives say they've resolved a separate incident at South Yarra where another man was approached by a group in a car.
The guy in the back said, "We're hunting Jews."
We've established who the driver of that car was. They've been spoken to already.
People are feeling scared.
Last night, close to 2,000 people marched through the city. Flying flags and signs.
I stand for human rights, equality, people being free. That's why I'm here.
We're here to support them and send our voice all the way to Gaza.
We need to de-escalate, stop the killing and start talking.
One man holding an image of a Hezbollah leader, but no incidents were reported. It comes as police increase their presence across Melbourne. Following the incident here at South Yarra yesterday, along with other reports through the Jewish community of people being abused, community leaders now say some are too scared to wear their religious items.
Some of our schools have asked their children not to wear identifiable uniforms.
The Jewish community will hold a public event Friday night. There'll be another pro-Palestine rally on Sunday.
Victoria Police and us continue to work with the Jewish community, but also the Islamic community, to make sure that kind of social fabric is maintained as best we can.
Penelope Leusch, 9 News.